Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to review an album by a band which I haven't reviewed on my channel yet, and it's this 1979 album, The Raven. And the reason I'm reviewing it partly is because I've only just picked it up on vinyl, and I picked up this original 3D cover. First 20,000 copies came with the 3D cover, and the back is them in the Viking longships. And I remember this cover from back in the day, and never actually seen it in a second-hand shop since, so I couldn't resist it. And this album was the follow-up to Black and White from 1978, and this band is kind of connected with the punk movement, but not really. They always seem to be a bit more musical than your average punk band. And I think the best we can say for the Stranglers is they presented a unique sound which didn't really fit into any genre in particular, and it was driven by Jean-Jacques Brunel's superb bass playing. Has to be in my top 3 or 4 bass players of all time, I think, and by Dave Greenfield's keyboard work, which is just brilliant, and they combine really well together. And you add to that Hugh Cornwell's guitar, which was very innovative, and Jet Black's drums. This is a picture of the band there, and as I say, on the back, in the Viking longships, so that they were kind of attracted to this Norse mythology, although this particular longship was apparently filmed somewhere in Ramsgate in Kent, not actually on the water. But sorry to destroy the mystique, but that's what I read. So interesting, and I have the CD of this, which has some bonus tracks. I don't have it with me to show you, but interesting bonus tracks which I'll come to. But this album opens with a kind of instrumental track called Longships, which is quite moody and sets the tone for the album, and then the track The Raven. And I listened to this album yesterday or the day before, just with the lyric sheet, as one used to do back in the day, and it was just brilliant because got to know this album better lyrically. And this track is all about this, the raven connected with Viking mythology. And I think the TV series The Vikings missed a trick when they didn't include this as part of the soundtrack. Driven as always by Jean-Jacques' superb bass line, and he gets to sing the lead. He shares the lead vocals more or less with Hugh Cornwell in the years when Hugh Cornwell was in the band, which was up until 1990. And I just think it's a great track. It's not maybe single material, but it's a really good opener, and it grows on you. And then we have the Stranglers' comment on the US of A on the next track, Dead Los Angeles. Lost spelt with a double S. The plastic peaches there on concrete beaches there. You see the leeches there. There's soft marshmallow there. It's oh so shallow there in Dead Los Angeles. With Hugh Cornwell doing a good moody vocal there, and I think it's a good track. Not everyone likes it, I saw reading about this album, but I think it works. And then we have a very nice track called Ice. Maybe nice is not the word, because it's quite interesting musically and quite complex arrangement. Very well played. This band really have their chops together when they're playing in the studio and live. Some weird words about some Japanese suicide ritual or something. This is the picture which illustrates it. Again, this track grows on you, and just great musicianship and interesting words. And then Baroque Bordello is next, with Hugh singing the lead vocal, and some very innovative guitar on this one. And I read the interview with Jean-Jacques, who said that this is one of his favourite tracks. He thinks it's a masterpiece. And here comes a plane, but I'm going to keep going because I have the mic now. So the last track on side one is Nuclear Device, which was a single, and this was a commentary on, I forget the name of the guy, but he's pictured here in cartoon form. And he was a guy down in Australia who used to take land off the Aborigines and use it for his own profit. And this picture was actually had to be removed from later pressing. So this is quite a rare addition, I think, because it's got the original cartoon and the 3D cover. And I think this is a good single. It didn't do terribly well. I think it was in the lower reaches of the top 20. But I think it's great, and nice punchy guitar riff, and nice singing from good singing from Hugh, and the kangaroo there depicted at the bottom. So we move over to side two, and then here we have a commentary on the situation in Iran, which in 1979 was quite volatile because the Ayatollah had just taken over and the Shah was living in exile in France. So they have this little newspaper article which is about the Ayatollah banning music in Iran because he said it was like opium. It was like it intoxicated the young and didn't do them any good. And there's this long spiel in the article about why he thinks music is the root of all evil, along with opium. So, and then the actual song is probably about the Shah, not about Ayatollah. Sold the English all their oil, made the people work the soil. Thought his kind had got it made, but his kind just had to pay to fade. Shah, Shah, ah, go, go. Then a priest in Paris, France, made the people get up and dada dance. Sold cassettes for 60p, said he'd set the people free. We shall see, we shall see. Shah, Shah, ah, go, go. Another plane. And then comes the highlight of the album for me. I'm going to show the cover because it's so good. The highlight of the album for me is this ballad, Don't Bring Harry, which was is led by Dave Greenfield's superb keyboard work, sung by Jean-Jacques Brunel. And this is actually about heroin, and the BBC didn't know it, so they allowed it to be performed on Top of the Pops, and there's a hilarious clip of this on YouTube which you can see of them performing it deadpan, not a smile in sight, on Top of the Pops. And the words, if you know what it's about, it makes more sense. If you don't know what it's about, I guess you're thinking, who is this guy Harry? But Harry and me, we live in a dream. With a friend like him, I don't need enemies. I don't know where morning is, it might not come today. That's the trouble when Harry's around, he forces me to play. And I know Jean-Jacques was interviewed and said he feels a bit awkward about the lyric now, because the Stranglers did consciously experiment with heroin around this time in an effort to stir their creative juices, and it resulted in this song and the next album they made, The Gospel According to the Men in Black, which is quite an experimental affair. I'm not really familiar with it, I need to discover it. But he said it was a good thing to get off of heroin, obviously, and he doesn't want to glorify it in any way, but he does think this song is beautiful, and it is. It's just very interesting lyric subject matter, and as I say, there's a great clip of it on YouTube, so check it out. So that's Don't Bring Harry, and there's a bonus track on the CD of them performing this in French, which is very nice to hear, and I could understand most of the words, mainly because I know what they are in English, and I did French for a few years at school, so je n'ai pas besoin de lui, something like that, lines like that. And then we got the single Duchess, Again, they made a video for this, which was banned, even though it's less controversial than Don't Bring Harry from a lyrical standpoint. It was them dressed up as choir boys, and apparently it was going to be shown on Top of the Pops, and Cliff Richard objected. So the BBC, in all their infinite wisdom, banned it, and I don't think you can find this video on YouTube. I looked for it the other day, which is a shame. Maybe it's probably on a Greatest Hits Stranglers video set or something. But this is a catchy single, and I remember at school the punk guys kind of slagging this one off and saying this is soft. Admittedly, it is quite melodic, and it's about the closest to a pop song that the Stranglers came to. This is before Golden Brown. This is back in '79. So, Duchess of the Terrace never grew up. I hope she never will. Broken down TV, sits in a corner. Pictures standing still, standing still. Nicely sung by Hugh, and nice catchy tune. I think it got to number 14 or so in the charts. Maybe a bit disappointing chart-wise. And then the album closes very strangely with a track called Men in Black, and then another strange track called Genetics. And Men in Black has this weird voice, like an alien voice, saying, "We're not here to destroy, we are here to employ. We have come to make you function so we can eat you at our functions. We are the Men in Black." It's all a little bit weird. I'll just show you the label. Nice Raven label there with the red lettering. This copy is in very good condition. Whoever bought it at the time looked after the sleeve extremely well. And then Genetics closes the album with, I think Dave Greenfield is singing lead vocal on this, and it's quite interesting lyrically, but not much musically. So after this album, the Stranglers would kind of recede into the background chart-wise until Golden Brown of '82, and the album La Folie kind of resurrected their fortunes, and then it'd have subsequent hits like Always the Sun and stuff. But I think this is one of my favourite albums. It actually is the only one I own on vinyl of theirs, but I have a couple of their early CDs like Rattus Novaticus and Black and White and No More Heroes. I think they were a decent band, and as I say, unique sound with the bass to the fore, and just brilliant playing by Jean-Jacques Brunel, and great drumming from Jet Black, and great guitar from Hugh Cornwall, and very moody, distinctive keyboard sound from great Dave Greenfield. So that was the Stranglers, The Raven. Thank you for watching. See you next time.